Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. I'm a little bit late, so let's just go straight into the charts, yeah? Well, yesterday was pretty range bound in the S&P 500, and here this morning, kind of looking like we might have a similar thing. Are they just gonna like range until CPI on Thursday? That would really suck. Over here in the treasuries, though, we did see a little bit of a reprieve overnight, but like overall, it looks like the Europeans are being pretty aggressive. I don't know. So they gave up a little bit, and they came off when the ECB president like Ward kind of like backed off her hawkishness a little bit in her speech just a little while ago, but I don't know. Now here on the opening drive has been down, so we might just be bearish again here. Now oil took a pretty good hit in the overnight session. It's not back to like this 88 area, but hey, that's a curious development, and that appears to be because the rhetoric with Ukraine and Russia has come off a little bit. So it looks like some of that risk premium is coming up. Although I still think that even without Ukraine, that oil is probably tilted to the upside. Here you get natural gas. Well, I mean, natural gas coming off of a big move, but nothing too interesting yesterday. Gold and silver continue to have just like this really, really nice steady uptrend. And copper, well, copper this morning kind of coming off. So I don't know. When I look at the macro environment, I'm finding this environment very challenging. I'm not quite sure what the best way to play is. I suppose yesterday I probably could have gotten some range trades and should have taken what I got, but I don't know. I think that the treasuries are being a little bit too hawkish here. But the problem is that all of the money is going to Europe right now, not the US, because in Europe they didn't do the crazy stimulus. Not to the degree that we did here in the United States. And so in Europe, they're more concerned about rising rates from energy costs, whereas in the US, we're just getting like, inflation across the board. And what do we do in that kind of situation? So a lot of that flow that we're going to see in the treasuries is coming in the instruments that I can't see. So I think that that's been why we've been struggling, but it sure has been frustrating for me. So, hey, Big Toasty, how's it going? Well, they didn't turn into a complete downside bender. So, with the way that things are going, though, I'm still thinking that we could get some upside action, but like this looks like ranging. So if we're gonna take a trade, we probably really need to try and lean on something to catch it. All right, so that's basically where we're at. Let's see here. We do have some news pieces today, right? Well, trade balance. That just came through, which was negative 80.7 billion versus expected negative 83. And at 10 o'clock, we have economic optimism. Nothing too interesting. I don't know, man. We could work on some stuff. We could write a book or something. I don't know. I have some food. Let's have some food here and see what the treasuries decide to do here from 126.20. Anthony, thank you for your donation. You think you should have a look at Metis DIA? Okay, let's see here. Metis DAO, decentralized autonomous organization. And then I think you're giving me 2, yeah? DIA, that one sounds familiar. Well, I tell you what, that DIA is, oh no, wait, we gotta go back like a year. It's down, but it's a fairly consistent coin. That's interesting on that one. Same with this one. Hey, this one had taken off at the beginning of 2021. It's come off, but it's okay support. Based on the spirit of optimistic rollup, Metis is building an easy-to-use, highly scalable, low-cost, and fully functional Layer 2 framework to fully support the application and business migration from Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. All right, well, scalable protocol, supports a wide range of cases. Okay, so how is it doing that unless... So one of the things that always is like a flag to me is when you're talking about Web 3.0 and they don't talk about web storage, right? Because you can't store stuff on the blockchain. That's too expensive. So usually they have some sort of a system whereby, like, you know, it's hosted decentralized. And that's what like Filecoin and stuff like that is about. So that one I'm already kind of like, I don't know. Open source Oracle platform. Oh, geez. Allows them to share data. Well, that might be interesting. So that I'm maybe that's why I've heard about it, was that there was this is something where you can like pay to get like a news subscription sort of a thing. Well, I don't know. So like the thing is, I'm still just with the rising, as long as interest rates are rising, I'm personally not going to get too involved in the cryptocurrency space. The CEO is Vitalik's mom. What? Okay. That's weird. And the other thing is I've just kind of been avoiding this space in general because of all of the grift with NFTs. I don't want anything to do with the NFTs. Okay, well, so we're getting this thing where like 2 or 3 ticks is like 10 ticks over in the 10-year. So I'm gonna eat my oatmeal here. Let's just keep an eye on this. Okay, so I was hoping to see some upside action. I just want to point out, though, that so far that movement there was 3 ticks up on pretty light volume with the 5-year driving. So we might get some mean reversion in the spreads like we saw yesterday. It might be difficult trade. I don't know if, if this is a breakout, then right there at 22 is like the way to play it, right? But since the action that we've been getting so far has been ranging, that's not one that I can take, unfortunately. I'm super tempted though, because that looks like so much fun to just hit into 22. Looks like so much fun. With all the news, crypto is extremely volatile. Well, so you know what? When in our morning little run off, I'm just realizing I didn't go over Bitcoin. I have to say, this right here, this chart does not look very good to me. So here's the problem I have with this chart. Is we had a pretty big bump. I mean, like that was somebody pushing it, man. That was absolutely somebody, like, especially right there, somebody trying to pump the coin, and then they got a little bit off of it. But now Bitcoin is already turning over. So if we start to put pressure some of these levels like this, right, you really have a setup to get really wild momentum coming back the other way. I think there's going to be a lot of support, so they probably should be okay. But it's just really curious to me that it's already flipping, you know? But we'll see. I do think that the interest rates are going to back up a little bit here. I think that they've gotten a little bit ahead of themselves. Clearly, I've felt like that for a little while now, and the market has disagreed with me, but yep, just as we suspected. I'm not actually getting really strong indications of volume in a certain direction. But what I am getting is a market makers screwing around with you. The metaverse is unstoppable. Nah. I have to tell you. So you know what's one of the things? This whole thing with Mark Zuckerberg and the metaverse, that they want to pivot to the metaverse. I think that Mark is getting lured by buzzwords. So that was a pretty good hold there down on the lows. I was thinking about taking a short when there was a bunch of volume there at 19.5. but it's still really light. And what I'm seeing more of right now is just steepening with the 5-year pushing harder. So I'm not confident that this is the beginning of some strong uptrend that I'm kind of hoping might happen. It does give me some confidence to maybe no. So we'll see. So like Mark Zuckerberg's vision of the metaverse is stupid. Why would anybody want to put on VR headsets so that they could have a virtual meeting? That just sounds so dumb to me. You can't take a drink of your coffee with a giant screen on your head. They're so awkward. And frankly, none of the metaverse games that I've played have really given me anything other over regular video games. It just doesn't appeal to me at all. And I kind of suspect that it's just buzzwords. But that's definitely been the what is the word? The narrative in cryptocurrencies. They want to talk about all of these things because they don't want to talk about rising interest rates, right? And a little bit of iceberging there at 118.10 in the 5-year. Support at 20 again, though, not so inspiring. In fact, market makers not putting up a whole lot there. You're working on several projects? Well, we'll see. I don't see myself putting any money into cryptocurrency anytime soon. They're gonna have to go a lot lower and be a lot quieter. When I'm no longer getting annoying advertisements about NFT every day, and maybe I'll look at it. But like it looks like the celebpreneurs are like all in on the NFT space, and they're gonna pump it no matter what happens, you know, to try and make money on their investment. So they may just not shut up. Okay, that's a little bit of a change there at 20. You're not getting orders hitting into 19.5, but the liquidity did change. The 30-year is really down there at the lows. There's a pretty big order at 25 that looks like leftover liquidity from previous times we were at those lows. The street tweets money laundering involving NFTs jumped significantly in the last half of 2021. No shit. Well, that doesn't look like they're going to do much. The volume here in the treasuries is just getting pretty sad. Scam Mountain can be seen anywhere. Well, and this is the other problem with the cryptocurrency space, right? Regulation is coming. Gensler and crew are on it. They don't like what they're seeing. They feel that there should be immediate action. By the way, we were talking about this. Well, that's a good 2 ticks up now. And we were talking about this the other day about like if you're an influencer, like what are your obligations and stuff. I read through that document. Most of it had to do with like if somebody endorses a product, what your obligations are in terms of accurately representing their endorsement. But in terms of the person actually endorsing, like the only thing that they really had on there was that you needed to uh, disclose, if you owned it or whatever the deal was. Like the relevant disclosures had to be made, and that was like it. You thought you'd get cool stuff from tech innovation and instead $1 billion JPEGs? Yeah, I suppose that I think one of the things that goes on is that, like, we millennials, we saw a pretty significant change in the world as a result of the internet and cell phones. I mean, that 1-2 punch of the internet and cell phones was a really, really big change in the world. And this is another part of where I'm kind of like, I'm not so sure that the metaverse is that great. Most people do not sit at a computer all day. Most people don't like doing that. Part of the reason that internet and social media got to where it is today was because of the phones, right? So until the metaverse is like built into your contacts, I'm not too sure that that's going to have a huge impact, But that's kind of like a 1-2 punch that a change that big you ain't going to see very often. And since that time, we haven't really had. I think that everybody's kind of thinking, oh, there's like another big innovation that's supposed to come that would affect us like that. I'm not so sure that it will be like that again. Like in terms of like your social life, I think that the next kind of advancements that you're gonna see are gonna have more to do with things like your health, that sort of a thing. Like people's longevity may increase substantially. Building houses, we've got electronics are really cheap. Next thing is getting houses and stuff really cheap. Taking text messaging and phone calls to new, innovative, and arduous levels. Yeah, but this idea that we're all just gonna go into the metaverse, I'm not seeing it. Sorry. If it happens, there's another large innovation in the VR space to still be made. Because as of yet, they have not made the killer app, the thing that's really going to create incentive for a large number of people to go and get involved in it. But for now, it makes really good investment fodder, right? Yeah, forget an earpiece the size of a $50, give me clunky pair of goggles and some dildos in my hands. I mean, the technology is cool, but I got one of those things. We don't use it. The kids thought it was like, we're like obsessed with it. Isn't this so much like so many Christmas presents? They're obsessed with it for like a week, and then they haven't touched it since. Well, we got some okay action up, kind of pushing us into the 21 area, but then we easily fall back into 20. The 5 years still seems to be the primary culprit in driving trying to drive the treasuries up, but there's definitely some sort of a liquidity hole at 2020 half. Like the market makers just let it fall there. When we get to 19 half, we're not seeing a whole lot of orders come through there. But do you see how easy it is? Well, that was 1,000 contracts. That was a little bit more. But look right there, 20 half, it just pulls. It just pulls. The VR tech as old as, well, yeah. So what brought the VR tech to the point where it was, it was a thing? Well, the key problem has been like the refresh rate of the displays. I think the refresh rate and the latency with when you touch your head. And because of the improvements in gaming monitors and a couple of other key gaming technology, I think that that's kind of probably what's taken us to where we are. But it's the having to strap the thing on your head and being completely engaged. I actually think augmented reality probably has more near term promise in it than virtual reality. So I don't particularly like this idea of just being strapped into this virtual world. I can't see my real environment. I might run into something. You know what I mean? I don't like that. NFT plus meme are the MP3 of the 90s. Okay, so there's some interesting technology about the way that NFTs work. But I take really big issue when we start talking about NFTs in the context of anything other than just a random unreproducible hash, right? Like if you have an MP3, that's not stored on the blockchain. Not like these OpenSea projects, they're not storing it on the blockchain. I think so many people, I see this everywhere, especially there's a bunch of gaming celebpreneurs. This is my new favorite word. I really think the celebpreneur is like my new favorite. There's so many people, they're famous because they're entrepreneurs. But what it really ends up being isn't that they're coming up with new ideas and making the smart investments. They're marketers. What they really are is marketers. Okay. So there's all these marketers out there and they keep sharing this idea that is objectively false. That stuff does not get stored on the blockchain. The MP3 is not stored on the blockchain. Okay. The best that you can do is you can have a network like Filecoin that stores the files on somebody's machine and pays them that cryptocurrency to do that and orchestrates the, where to find the data. Okay. That's the best you can do. That is Web 3.0. Okay. And most of these like OpenSea and all these other places, they're not doing that. The files are hosted on Amazon Web Services somewhere. And if Amazon wanted to take them down, they would be taken down. And it kind of comes back to this thing, which is like the decentralized web. What is the advantage of it? Uncensorability, right? Does the way that it's been doing, that they're doing it, give us that? No. Filecoin, yep. Filecoin does that. Siacoin does that. But the big NFT projects that are being pushed don't do that. Right? See, if this was a revolution that was being pushed and the thing that I was seeing on CNBC was Filecoin, then it would be a different issue, right? But instead, I'm seeing them push it on the same old smart contract sort of things that we've had for many, many, many years, right? So what is it really? It's just a clever new way to market it. And they're pushing the NFTs super, super hard because you make more money making your own coin, right? Like if you really want to make the money in the crypto, so like for instance, Garlic Coin, this is a great example, right? They made Garlic Coin. There was a little bit of drama. I think that there was some shenanigans with when it was created. I don't really remember the details, and people didn't really post a whole lot, but it did look like there was some degree of rug pull going on there. But then since then, it's a low supply coin. Shouldn't it be taking off? No. Shouldn't somebody be coming in and going, oh yeah, I really like the Garlic Coin idea. I'm investing in it and start pushing it. Why do you never see that? Well, because if I was somebody that wanted to put money and marketing muscle behind a coin, why would I pick somebody else's coin? Why don't I just mint my own coin? It only takes about an hour, and you can go and convince people to get into a new coin. And especially when they're willing to invest in things like, Safe Moon and this kind of nonsense, right? You want to make your own coin. Well, maybe people are starting to catch on to that. So here's an even better idea. What if we could convince them that every time we make a picture, and basically like it's a new security. So now you can constantly mint new things and make money off of it that way. And then you use all the same tricks, wash trading and fake volume and so forth, to pump the assets up and convince people to buy it. And not only can you just do that in infinity and not really, pick up anybody's suspicions or anything like that, but they're worth more per pop, right? If you want to do the rug pull, yeah, you could make like $1 million, but you've got to get a bunch of people to buy into it. Whereas to make a couple 100,000 with an NFT, all you've got to do is convince one stupid rich person to do it, right? And this is why you're seeing the NFTs go the way that they are, right? And all of the celebrities have picked up on how much money they can make from doing this, from pushing these. And so now the celebpreneurs are all over it trying to hawk it to people. But again, there's a problem. The Federal Reserve is raising interest rates. The amount of money that is going to be out there available for people to buy in is going to be less. And average day people are going to have less to do that sort of thing. So where's the money coming from? Probably from Tether. You see where it's kind of like, I can see, especially in the short term, it kind of looks like Bitcoin was making a run. I see a possibility of it flipping around because of the way that it acted overnight. But generally, overall, I think short term, I would have to be bullish. But in the mid to long term, I'm not interested in it right now because of the raising interest rates. Right? I would rather be in hard commodities that have real use cases. Hold on. In other words, I want to spend my money and if I'm going to put it into a commodity of some sort, it's going to be like oil or food, corn. Okay. So I've still seen some interesting absorption in the 19.5 and 20 area, but they did downtick at 19.5 there. They were having a hard time getting anybody to be interested in it and then just going there. Let's see here. Was that a new? No, it wasn't a new low for the ZB. There's the 25. They started hitting into the lows and they just got rescued. I feel bad when somebody comes in and they give donations. I really appreciate it, but I'm just not interested in the cryptocurrency space anymore. To be honest with you, I'm kind of souring on the trading in general. Like, there are certain environments that are more conducive to successful day trading than others. And I'm kind of starting to suspect that the environment that we're heading into, that is highlighted by stagflationary pressures. I'm not saying that like we're going to outright get stagflation, but the pressure right now is stagflation, right? I'm a little concerned. Fine, I'll fill you. It just doesn't look good. I wasn't interested in the crypto space before it was cool. The thing is that I fought against the crypto space for a long time, right? I said, well, from the way this is structured, it sounds like they're gonna make, this is gonna go higher. When it was Mount Gox, I was like, this is gonna collapse spectacularly, right? And so I just kind of sat by and watched. I did. And I enjoyed it. The Mount Gox collapse was fun for me to watch, right? And then it pumps again in 2017. I had left it for dead. Pumps again in 2017. I remember people being like, "Oh, you want to get into Ethereum because of this and this and this?" And I'm just like, "Yeah, okay, like probably not. It's already ahead of itself. Whatever." I was correct when it peaked in 2017, but halfway through 2017, I said, "Well, clearly this isn't going away. Let's understand it and try and take advantage of it and teach people about it and stuff like that, right?" But then what happened? Well, I actually had some success with it, and um, the more success that I had with it, the more disgusted I was with it. The more success I had with it, the more disgusted I was with it. And it's gotten to the point where now I'm like straight up anti crypto on many, on the vast majority of things. Like, it's not that I don't think that there couldn't be a way of doing cryptocurrencies that would be, that I would be cool with, right? But the overall space has just gone a different direction. And at this point, I think that the government's going to step in and provide it. Everybody's like really upset about FedCoin, and they're all like, yeah, see, this is what's going to happen is if they don't like what you're doing, then they'll just cut you off like they did with the GoFundMe and all of that sort of a thing. I think that if the US government does a cryptocurrency, that it will actually be like cash. It'd be like cash. Like, it could be something like you can't trace the money unless you have the wallet. So like if you have a wallet, if the government seizes a wallet and they would have to seize the keys from you, then they can go in and look and see where the money had come from and who you transacted with or whatever the deal is. They could maybe track the coins, but there would have to be privacy with it, or it wouldn't be usable as a currency. You get what I mean? So I think that the government will actually, I'm hoping that the government will actually be responsible with it, and that they'll actually make something that people will want to use. If they're going to make one, they're going to make something that people will want to use. At least the US government will. And they'll probably add their own innovations that haven't been found by the cryptocurrency space. I would hope. But I think the government's going to come in and fix it. And if the US dollar comes in and they make something that you can make payments on, like everything on the internet is going to move to that, man. Everything on the internet is going to move to that. And then where is cryptocurrencies left with? Because cryptocurrencies basically decided that they were not going to take that route. They basically decided that they wanted to be, what is the word? They just wanted to be about hype. They didn't actually want to be a currency. They wanted to be a store of value, right? So yeah, I say screw them. Government's going to come in, take it out. Well, that didn't work out so well. It's actually okay liquidity on both sides here. 35s. I don't know. So, kind of like looking at this, the 6J has been moving down a little bit. The dollar is moving down a little bit. I see gold kind of on the upswing. Oil maybe basing, maybe looking to go higher. We'll see. S&P 500. Well, it's been trading. It's been trading in maybe an okay range. It's less than 10. It's less than 10 points, but it's a range. I don't know. Are we getting like a more fundamental move here in the treasury? The kind of still looks like market making to me. There has been more volume in this area, that's for sure. Well, they're starting to hit into him at 19.5, but it's not going. There's not across the board support to do it. We did see kind of like what I was saying earlier. Like, remember when we got the steeper and then steepener, and then it kind of flattened out. Like the lows of the day are kind of all the same amount away. I don't know. I feel like I'm super, super interested in the action. During a time when it should be the least interesting action, you know? So that kind of sucks. Okay, well, they pushed back against that. New Paragon? No, it has not. I think you've been reading cryptocurrency forums too much. You know, this is kind of an ironic thing about cryptocurrencies, isn't it? Is like, you want to be informed, you want to do research. So everybody that goes into the cryptocurrency space, they want to go in and they want to read stuff, right? So they're going on Reddit and they're reading things and everything. But in the crypto space, the narrative has been so controlled that but what you end up reading is just trash. You never get as skeptical or realistic view of where the technology is actually at, right? This cryptocurrency technology is not capable of doing any of the groundbreaking things that they claim it will. It's been around for, almost 10 years. Over 10 years, right? Even since the economy is not going to collapse. Okay. So there's some big absorption there at 18. Crypto is a cult indeed, yeah. It's like I wouldn't even call it a cult. It's like a mob at this point, right? Like Tether is like a mob at this point. Like people would die over it. People would kill over it. If somebody out there talking was really enough of a threat to the system, they would kill someone. But at the current time, they think that they just have complete control. Okay, well, there's a good amount of volume there at 18, but kind of hanging back for now. Well, I mean, I talk about it when people ask questions, but I'm not interested in the space right now. Well, it is a downturn. This has kind of been a little bit more of a bubble down. Like there's been a lot of volume at each of these prices, right? There's a couple of big icebergs at 18. They've already traded 3,700 at 17.5. Now 4K at 17.5. They're trading a good amount of volume. Like people are absorbing it on the other side, but the bears just seem to have the edge. Yeah, we could have gone the opposite way there. Is that a problem? Is by the time you realize that there's like a real trend going one way, it's like too late, right? There you go. There's it pulling back pretty aggressively. So we could say that's the reversal now, or we could wait for it to come back up and try and short it again. I don't know. It's still kind of like, well, so it was a decent amount of volume that shorted there in the 5-year was part of what went on there. You know what? It's really the 10-year is kind of being held back. Well, I don't know. Without any news, because we have an auction today, so that's one factor, right? Otherwise, they don't necessarily have anything too strong now. Now that they've kind of gone on the downside, I don't know. We could try running along with it, but they're getting awfully close to that 2% today, aren't they? There was a little gap up there for a second that was like the liquidity hole, I think. All the way back to 18. I would be extremely surprised if they increased 50 basis points to start the cycle. So right now they're pricing around a 30% chance increase. Now, of course, if Thursday's numbers are really bad, then maybe it's possible. But I don't think that the Federal Reserve wants to do it. You know, I think that it would be kind of one of those like, well, we don't really have any choice, sort of a thing. Not only that, but there's a couple of journalists that the Federal Reserve kind of like gives pieces to and stuff like that, and they've been pushing back against the 50 basis point increase. So my my estimation is that it will just be a 25 basis point rise. They'll start them nice and easy. Don't want to panic the market too much, and then increase rates next 3 meetings. See where they're at. Okay. That was as good as she goes, Phil. Even if this one doesn't turn out, I'm happy with the way that executed. No. It's 100% chance of an increase, 30% chance of a 50 basis point increase. Last time I checked. Last time I heard the numbers, it was the chance of the 50 basis point increase was 30%. And that increased substantially after that jobs report. But again, some of the numbers in the jobs report look a little deceptive, and especially that seasonal change is a little sketchy, right? Just a little. It's crazy. It's like the biggest seasonal adjustment ever. So that jobs number is probably not a very reliable reading right now. you know? Okay, well, if the liquidity hole is at 18, let's just keep that in mind. They might dance around in this area quite a bit. Well, more is traded at 17.5, so let's say the hole is at 17.5. The United Nations says it takes less than a minute to write a comment that can have a big impact on someone's mental health and well-being. A kinder internet starts with you. Do, 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 do. That's big. Some big bid-side icebergs. Not huge. They're not huge, but they're icebergs. Any kind of iceberg in this liquidity has been a good thing, right? Because they've been a little slippery. So are we getting the steepener again? The 5 and the 10 are willing to tick up, but the 30 is just chilling at the lows. With offers continuing to absorb. See, this is where when I talk about a liquidity hole, that's like exactly what I'm talking about. It ticks up, only 200 contracts go on the bid, and then nobody is willing to hit back into it. It's like they just don't want to trade it. So they already traded. This is a little bit better on the upside, but because the 30 is hanging back there. Seeing a bunch of tweets on Twitter about Joe Rogan, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to go into it. They're all arguing about whether or not he was sincere in his apologies. Probably he was, but why does it matter? Can definitely see the spreader coming in. Wait, what? Hyundai and Kia warn owners of nearly 485,000 vehicles to park them outdoors because they can catch fire even when stopped. What the heck? Every once in a while a headline will come through on the Twitter that just makes you go like, "What?" He knows his audience better than we do. Yeah, what's here's the thing that's funny about the Joe Rogan controversy. He seems to me to be more liberally tilted. He is like, I want to hear the truth and I want to hear from everybody, but his own personal leanings, I think, are actually a little bit left. And I think that he's partial to these kinds of ideas about like I shouldn't be offending people. Like if people are really offended by something that I said on my podcast, I have a reason to apologize. I think he does. Yeah. Uzi says what? I'm just saying, and I think that his audience is actually more left minded than one might realize. Of course, that's probably changed a lot as of recent, but a lot of people on the left pretend like Joe Rogan's podcast is like some heavy right wing, refuge or something. It's not. I don't watch the show, but I've seen enough clips and everything to know that looked at what the audience says on Reddit to know that it's not a right wing thing. In fact, it's really more people that just don't care about politics. Caleb says Rogan is very far left. I don't know if it's very far left, but he leans to the left. Yes. We all say things to catch attention. I'd be interesting. I don't think this saga is over, right? Yeah, he's a leftist exploring the right occasionally. I think that's a really great way of putting it, man. Now, the question in my mind is like, does a more significant artist step into this? Right? Like if Taylor Swift came in and said, well, you can't stream my stuff on Spotify anymore until you get rid of Joe Rogan, would that change the calculus for them and they would get rid of him? It's kind of like this kind of controversy is kind of a lose-lose for them right now, I think. Well, I don't know. How popular is Spotify? Does the amount that they make from the increased PR counteract the number of people that leave? I kind of feel like that Spotify is relatively popular and that they're probably not getting that many new subscribers, but I could be wrong about that. He likes guns, so now he's moderate. He's not very far left, pro homosexuality, pro abortion, not a Christian, but those are both issues that there are far more people on the right that believe those things. Okay, there are a lot of people on the right that are, I guess you could say, call pro homosexuality. I don't know. No way you call pro homosexuality, but pro gay rights, let's say, right? And there's plenty of people on the right that are more libertarian minded that are pro-abortion or pro-choice, let's say. Nobody's really pro. Taylor Swift is a wannabe. I don't know, man. Your view of what the political spectrum looks like doesn't sound like what I see out there. I don't see anything in his underlying ideology that looks right wing to me in motivation. He is more, I'm an everyday guy and I just want to do the best thing for people. That is very much a left wing idea, but it's not far left. It's really quite moderate left. He's the large swath of people that claim that they're moderates but tend to vote left. That's what he is. Far leftists are authoritarian. So this is kind of in terms of categorizing ideologies, we are kind of left with an interesting conundrum, aren't we? Because there is the far left, there is the progressive left, right? There's the progressive left that we knew from Hillary Clinton, progressive left, Bill Maher, progressive left, which I don't like, and they're pretty far left, and there are people over there that are like very radically far left, communists or just crazy. Okay. There's a couple of people that are over there that are crazy. But then there's the woke left. And the woke left is like a completely different thing because they're super far left. Can we say that they're like more far left than I don't know. Like the thing is that the base of their ideology is so different it almost doesn't even seem comparable to me. You know what I mean? Their view of the world is a little scary. Yeah, Rogan has ingredients of leave me alone government. That's true. That's true. That's what I would say. Like, he's really more like a progressive libertarian, right? Like to me, when I say the word progressive, what I mean is that individual thinks that it is our responsibility as a society to continue to try and push society forward and do the best things for people. And that government plays a significant and important role in accomplishing that. That's what progressivism is about to me. Right? I'm somewhat partial to that line of thinking, except for that I realize that almost everything that we try to do just makes it worse. Like I am like, you know what, we do need to make society better, and there are problems, and we should try and fix them. But every time that we try and fix those things with some sort of a government intervention program of some sort, it just creates other problems, and we don't really understand the problems very well. You know. But that's to me, progressivism is the government should get involved to try and improve people's lives. Right. Libertarian is government shouldn't do anything unless it's absolutely necessary. Right. But then there's woke. Woke is there are certain groups of people that are disadvantaged. Not only should we try and make the world a better place, but we should actively prop up some people and actively pull down other people to try and equalize out the outcomes. That's what wokeism is about. It's like social revenge of some sort. Okay, so they go back and forth quite a bit now at 19. This is good. Maybe it was. I don't know. Was that 19 the volume point of control before we moved down? I'm not sure it was, but A lot of volume is traded there now since then. Right now, conservative is, yes, government has an important role to play, but we need to take things really slow. That's what conservatism is. Conservatism is, hey, maybe you have a good idea. Why don't you try it out in your municipality first? We have a bunch, and maybe 50 years from now we can make that a thing, right? That's conservatism. Wokeism is basically the weird kid in high school that was bullied and as an adult was given absolute power. Yeah, I don't know. It seems to me like wokeism does, at the heart of wokeism, is kind of some juvenile approaches to the world. Yeah. So there was this article a couple of weeks ago that I was concerned was going to become like mainstream conservative thought, but doesn't look like it really took off, which I'm actually glad, because even though it was a really interesting article and it made you think, I think that their underlying theory was wrong. But basically, their underlying theory was that wokeism originated from the fan base of Glee, the TV show Glee. And basically, everything that you look at with the fan base of Glee and what happened on there is like what social justice warriors are talking about now. Well, I don't think that that's actually the case, but what I do see happening is that I think that some people are kind of being driven by certain kinds of instincts and behaviors that are built into people, and they don't really even realize what they're doing. That's kind of what I see going on here. Like, I think that the woke crowd would like to think that they are not tribalistic, that they are actually the opposite of that, and that they're trying to, bring social justice. But in the end, they actually are acting tribalist. I used to watch that show with my wife before we gave up TV. Yeah. True wokeism? Nah, I don't think true wokeism is actually hip. Okay, so like true wokeism, which is like intersectionality theory that was, that we first saw in the colleges, I think is a very, very dangerous way of looking at the world. Like, it's one thing to come in and say, okay, some people may be more disadvantaged than others, and the more disadvantages that those disadvantages can kind of double up. So if you're a woman and you're black, that is, a slightly different kind of social disadvantage than being a man that is black. But both of them are also have certain disadvantages, right? Okay. But then what they do is they say, here's what we have to do as a society about it. That's where it's like, So what do they say? Well, they say that what we need to do as a society is we need to give them all of the political power so that it equalizes things out. That's really what they're saying. But that's really what they're saying, is that they should have they're saying, well, we should have more people on the boards of companies that have those lived experiences. This is what the word they use, right? We need more people on boards that have that lived experience. We need more people in our government that have that lived experience. And then they will fix those social ills. Listen, have you, when in your family, like when you were a kid, or if you have kids, you ever been in this situation where one of the children is complaining about something that the other children are doing, that it's not fair, etc., 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 and the kid whines and whines and whines, and then mom and dad say, okay, to make you shut up, we'll let you have your way. Does that ever end well? No, it does not, because a person that is primarily concerned about the ills and unfairness that has been done to them never makes wise decisions once they actually have control. They cannot see the situation clearly. They make poor decisions. And I would argue that putting somebody in a certain position purely because of their supposed lived experience to try and equalize things out is actually just going to end up in less competent decisions being made because of what derives their decision-making process. Be real, wokeism is white people co-opting black people's historical grievances and acting like only white people can solve them. Well, I don't know, because I think that they want to give black people all of the power, right? The people that are super far out there. NASDAQ killer, where were you yesterday? I was wondering. Like, is he okay? I didn't put out any vids this week, though. It'll be next Monday. Should be. I have a script written out that I think is pretty good. So we'll talk on next Monday. There you go. Wokeism is a way for educated whites to act like they're at the forefront of identitarian movements they have no place in. Is past volatility predictive of future volatility? It seems to me that volatility clusters is the way that I would put it. Volatility clusters. You've been working? Oh, right. I hear you. Trap Zach is saying U.S. Treasury is letting a retired RBA official throw them about. Is that why they're moving around? Is because there's somebody speaking and I'm not seeing or hearing anything about it on my squawk? I am working now also, but from film, so I can watch you. Well, do your work. I'm not gonna say anything too exciting. Today has been kind of a shit day again. We had a push of the low end of the range. It only went a few ticks below that range and bounced back up to 19. Traded a ton of volume at 19. Who knows where we go, if they go back to lows or what? But E-mini's been open for a good minute, and it's kind of showing us that, oh, I'm just going to slice and dice all day too. The Elastic video is going to be next Monday. But you should just go and read the studies. I'm not going to say anything in that video that you can't necessarily get from those studies. I just will probably present it in a way that's a little bit more easy to understand. You think that it's just a way to broaden consumer appeal across untapped demographics? So like the thing is, when I worked for Goldman Sachs, they were all about that sort of stuff. I mean they did diversity hiring. And you know what? I think that the way that we did that at Goldman Sachs was extremely effective. Like, we weren't hiring people that were, inexperienced, that unqualified. We weren't hiring people that were unqualified. We also weren't hiring people that, to push a certain agenda. Like, that's where I think, especially when it comes to politics, that you have a problem is that when you have somebody whose agenda is grievance, and it doesn't matter whether it's about race or anything else, because people on the right do this so much too. All right. There's these guys, these really dogmatic people on the right, they have some sort of a grievance that they have. If you put them in power, they don't tend to perform well. Right. So, but at Goldman Sachs, having that really wide variety of cultural experience, and they weren't just about, having, oh, you need to have somebody of each skin color. There was like they wanted cultural differences, and they wanted people that thought differently. That diversity really does have a benefit to an organization, right? And so I think that this kind of, you know, I do think that the Supreme Court is probably going to strike down affirmative action, but you're probably still going to see at a corporate level some degree of that, right? But it's kind of one of those weird, I don't know, it always seems to come down to something like this when I really deeply try to analyze something in politics, is that like they'll see a problem, but they never really get to the true problem or the true solution kind of underneath of things, like for instance, are there people in the United States that because of the circumstances of their birth are disadvantaged in society? Well, sure. And even if they grew up in a good home and they had everything that they needed for having a good home, there are some places in the United States where if you're the wrong skin color, it's harder to be successful. That's totally true. But from every piece of data that I've seen, the short men are more disadvantaged in America right now. You know, like there is some very, very significant statistics that show that like how good looking you are has a significant impact on your success in life. It really is a thing. Do you ever see anybody out there looking for social justice for short men, short Asian men? I mean, come on. What's the real thing? What makes us strong is having a variety of dispositions. You want people that are conservative, you want people that are liberal. You want look at all of those um dimensions of personality. You need people that cross that entire spectrum. And when you have those people all working together, you're more effective. And part of the breakdown in politics today is that politics has become so split by personality types that you have both parties are essentially working without half of the equation. And I think that's why you're getting a lot of problems like that, right? I think that if everybody that listened to this stream thought exactly the way that I did, that we wouldn't be very successful. Part of the reason that we've been as successful as we've been is because you guys are quite diverse. In fact, it seems that I tend to attract people that really want to not think like me. you know? And Patrick Rooney is saying hello 2%. He thinks that that's where we're headed. Well, it could be. They're awfully close. S&P 500 super choppy today. And gold was on a good run. They came back a little bit. So I don't know if the run in gold is over. Oil, kind of, we thought maybe it was basing, but no, it's turned down. There's a significant 2 ticks down there. Fine. When they start flashing it like that back and forth, that's kind of like a spot. That's kind of like, okay, you might want to get out here just because you've kind of found an even spot again. And if they make another push, it's going to be ugly. So that might also be exactly where they rotate. But how much did I get on that at one point? Oh, I almost made 10 ticks. Well, okay. Not too bad. When I've been going back and looking at my stats, the favorable excursion hasn't been disaster, but like whenever I get the fit, I haven't been taking it. There you go. They down tick again at 17, and it kind of looks like they might go for new lows. But it is pushing back again at 17. So I don't know. I keep coming back to like I want to take trades, but then I keep coming back to like why? Why did I even take the ones that I did? Because it was moving? I guess. It's moving and I don't want to miss any momentum. Nah, I think that that last run that we just had, when that fizzled out at 19.5, I think that really kind of killed the idea of any kind of really strong buy meta order coming through. I will have to see what the guys on the sell side do. Because I think that the scenario on the sell side is that they have momentum on their side and they're really close to a key level. You know, I don't like it when we get too deep into the. I know it's a conversation that you have a really high probability of saying something dumb in. You know what I mean? I don't think I say anything dumb though. The whole point of that was, what is Joe Rogan's ideology? Well, because why does it matter really? Well, the reason it matters is because like nobody is safe. It doesn't matter who you are, what your ideology is, or what your motivation in saying the thing that you said was. All that matters is what the political purpose is behind it. And if it serves their political purpose to shut you up, they will. Over the years, I have understood that trading daily will not make me yam. There isn't opportunities every day. That's for sure. It's you need to have an edge, and if we're trying to use informational edge, when you really have that edge and when you don't is extremely unclear, right? Yeah, there is absorption in the lows in the ZN. I'm not going to say that it's like crazy amounts or anything, but it does look like I think that what's going on here is probably more not like somebody is building a position here as much as it is like market makers balancing things back out down here. You have multiple strategies. Yeah, but one person can only do so much, right? Puke fuel? I don't know. I mean, I'm tempted to try and get back in at 9.7 or even just FOMO into it here. But the problem that I have is even though it kind of looks like they'll try and okay. I'll try taking it as she goes. The problem I'm having here is that even though it does look like they're going to go lower here, I don't know how much lower they're actually going to be able to get. You know, like if they go through what they've been doing, they're probably going to stop here. I mean, I got a good as she goes entry. I've gotten 2 good as she goes entries on the micros. Let's see. That's not. Okay. I wanted it to run quick, so we'll let them pull back a little bit. Maybe try it again. Now, is something going on? Well, no, I am seeing still a lot of correlation with the 6J, but the price action is pretty isolated and random today. Like the movements that I see in the treasuries don't seem to be strongly correlated with movements in any of the other instruments that I'm looking at. And the action is, the price movement itself is incredibly random, especially at the short time frames. And you look at the past hour, then it has been net short, but it's not huge. It's a retracement of the overnight downside. Liquidity has reduced over the past few days. It's really hard for me to really quantify that. I think what we need to do is what it should be is like number of contracts per price level gone through or something. I don't know. I think there's one measure of liquidity that is the most clear, and that is how many contracts are at each price. Well, we're getting 35s, 4,000s. Yeah, that's about average for as of late. Okay. That's about average for as of late. But it doesn't really tell you the whole story, does it? Because then, sometimes icebergs show up and sometimes there's resting liquidity, but they just slice through it. So like what is the current liquidity? How do you like put a metric down for that is kind of a difficult thing. But it does seem to me that at the beginning of this session, they sliced around quite easily on very little volume. Now we've gotten some pretty solid downtrend, but there's been a significant amount of absorption against it. Have you seen any correlation with oil in the 10? I think that oil is probably playing a factor, but I don't know if that's what's happening right now. So here's why I think oil should be playing a factor. Man, I should have just if I had taken 9.7 would have been fine. 9.3 is still kind of a little iffy. The Europeans are the ones that are really increasing their rates right now. Like, I'm not so sure that the Americans are really anxious to push the 10-year to 2.2, but the Europeans keep selling. And the Europeans, they don't have as much fiscal stimulus out there, but they are much more vulnerable to the energy costs. So the more that the energy costs hit them, the more concerned I think the European traders are about having to raise rates. So I think that there probably is some degree of correlation there, but it's really loose, and I don't actually see it happening in the charts right now. That's because the ECB is still pumping stimulus? Well, yeah, but I mean, they're tightening like everybody else. Some of them already rose, the Bank of England already raised rates. Yeah, but I mean, it's the still they're kind of there's more similarity between the macroeconomics situation in the UK and Europe than there is between the UK and the US. I would rather talk about Bollinger Bands and stochastics to put it in perspective. So you go, if you want to hear me talk about Bollinger Bands and stochastics, you are watching the wrong channel because that shit does not work. Don't waste your time with them. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Are we already ready to go? I forgot that I have to end early today because we got to go to do a baby thing. Well, I did lose again today, but it wasn't too bad. So I gotta get going. I have a bunch of videos about why technical analysis doesn't work. You could go and watch my most recent video about order flow, and we talk about like proven things that can help you. So I gotta get going though. I will see you guys tomorrow. Wednesday will be interesting, but I don't know if we're really gonna get anything until Thursday. So in the meantime, stay profitable, friends.